Right then, welcome back to the channel. I've recorded a couple of videos already today talking about what might happen with Jadon Sancho's future, and they're all kind of, well, fuck now, because this has happened. There's been a statement made, and the statement to me seems like they've not come to certainly an amicable agreement. And I speculated that maybe his little trip to New York at the weekend, maybe it had the blessing of Ten Hag. So you're going to see me talking about it with Ash, which comes out tomorrow. I didn't have this information in that video, and you're going to see me talking about it with Adam and Jay today later on the Off the Bar pod. And again, I didn't have this information. Our Jack says he's Ash and Steve today or tomorrow. It's always Friday. We just record it on a Thursday. So listen, the information that's come out, we sort of speculated in both of those podcasts. Maybe he had the full blessing of Erik Ten Hag to go to New York. My personal view on it is it was probably a bad idea to go to New York and be pictured. I thought that the more sensible thing, like, look, if I was working with him, if I was a friend of his and I was able to advise him, I would have absolutely said, listen, unfortunately, a lot of this football malarkey is played out in the public perception. The manager put this in the public perception with his answer on camera last weekend. You've put this in the public perception by replying to him on social media, which is probably going to cause some rift between the two of you now that you need to get over. It's already out there in the public's eye. Be very public about not going on holiday and going on the piss to New York this weekend, even if you've been given a weekend off. Go and get some extras done. Be seen doing extras. Be seen running in the local fucking park somewhere. Like, just put it out there a little bit. That's what PR is all about. You know, I remember seeing something a while ago. Do you remember when Lindsay Lohan, I didn't mean to get this off topic this early, but it is what it is. Remember when Lindsay Lohan had this perception about being an absolute raging fucking piss can? Her PR team was, let's see you walk around with a water bottle because it projects health and fitness and this, that, and the other. So she always used to carry a water bottle around. Like, sometimes you got to put something out there a little bit if you're a celebrity like this and let people think something, because a lot of the time, I speculated this week that maybe Ten Hag knew he was going to New York and was like, yeah, cool, knock yourself out. I think that there was a bit of a pile-on because he went to New York this weekend, and unfortunately, my instinct to it was he probably went with permission. Wan-Bissaka's there, it was probably fine. I think the reaction that we've seen today with a further statement, I mean, fuck me, it was only taking a piss out United making statements today. They've made another fucking statement. Stop making statements. So the statement is, at least anyway, Jadon Sancho will remain on a personal training program. Fuck me, proper in the doghouse. I wish they'd have just said that. Jadon's in the doghouse for the foreseeable future. He says he's on a personal training program away from the first team group, pending the resolution of a squad discipline issue. So that tells us he didn't just put a 5 out of 10 in training last week. He obviously did something, or didn't arrive on time, or did some shit that the manager went, nah, I'm not having this. I'm not having you. Laurie's weighed in a little bit, and he says, another moment of authority for Ten Hag, whose attempt to get Sancho following squad discipline stretched back to last season. Timekeeping is a persistent issue, as are training levels. Sancho flew to New York rather than entertain the Saudi offers. Clearly, there were offers from Saudi for him to go through last week. Get your questions in, and I'll come to the questions as soon as I've sort of finished everything that's gone on with the timeline. So obviously we had the aftermath of United's 3-1 defeat against Arsenal 10 days ago. Ten Hag came out and said the 23-year-old has been left out of the squad because of his performance in training. That was Sunday evening. Sancho then put out his own statement. Fuck me, more statements than points this season. Saying that he's, he don't believe everything you read. People saying things are completely untrue. Conduct myself in training very well this week. Believe there are other reasons for the matter that I won't go into. I've been a scapegoat for a long time, which isn't fair. The post obviously got a shit ton of views. It was retweeted 60,000 times. It had more than 60 million views. And he said he would continue to fight for the badge no matter what. But a line obviously was drawn between the manager and the player. Offers came in. The offers were rejected. And that public fallout came just fucking, it feels like minutes before all of this fallout happened with Anthony. Where if Jadon had kept his fucking mouth shut, I could put a lot of money on the fact that he would be starting right wing come Saturday afternoon. Now I think you're going to be putting a lot of money on the fact that he will not be starting come Saturday afternoon for fucking sure. Absolute certainty. It seems that Ten Hag has become completely exacerbated with the punctuality of Sancho, what he sees as sluggishness in training, and apparently that's not gone unnoticed by teammates who share the manager's frustration with him as well. After the post on social media, it said it seemed that United were prepared to sanction a sale, and with the transfer window still being open in Saudi Arabia and Turkey, Saudi clubs were told £65 million, $81 million was the asking price for him, which is about an $8 million loss after we paid 73 for him. There were no talks about a permanent transfer because Sancho never gave any indication about being open to a move, and United have declined to comment on it. Now, some of the trouble that he was having at Dortmund has reared up on the back of this, and it says that Jadon was mentally tough on the pitch but could be quite childish and unprofessional with little things off it. And this is someone close to Dortmund. And he says occasionally he missed team meetings, overslept quite a few times. It got to the point where Terzic and Lucien Favre at Dortmund would personally knock on his hotel room door to grab him before meetings. And when Terzic was placed in temporary charge in 2020, he told staff members, pay attention to Sancho. And under Terzic, his fitness improved and he was brilliant in his final months at the club. So, we did a video earlier where we looked at how United replaced Anthony. Option 4 was Jadon Sancho. And I think that probably would have been option 1 if this shit hadn't happened. United feel like they can't get a fucking break at the moment. Palestri, latterly Ahmad, because he's going to be out for a while, but I think it's increasingly looking like you'll see Mount or Bruno deployed there, or potentially Garnacho playing out of position a little bit. Truffle Pup says, remember when football was just about football? I remember as well. Shit in it. Ben says, where did Jadon Sanchez go? That's when it went wrong, wasn't it? Super chat there from Pranav says, what WDYT, what do you think about current season? Should we write off? No, not 4 games into the season when we've literally only lost twice. That's mental. Bob says 350 grand a week and acts like a petulant wazzock. Can't think of a decent winger we've bought since Fergie. I hate that. That's accurate. Anyway. IQ Insane says he's not a wide player, he's lazy. He is a wide player. Look, I've seen him be absolutely phenomenal. Just not very often in a United shirt. Danny with a super chat says 300k a week, pay me 20 quid, and I'll wake you up each day, you mug. Listen, for £1,000 a week, how many of us would live in Jadon Sancho's house, cook him all his fucking meals, and wake the little fucker up when he needs to be? Nicholas Walker says, Hasty, appreciate all the work you do for us muggles. I feel Ten Hag still puts Bruno on the wing next game. Is Ten Hag 3 games away from the sack? Absolutely not. No, I mean, the podcast in Off the Bar, or Off the Bar with myself, Maka and Jay, will be coming out soon. And we spoke a little bit about that in terms of, like, is Ten Hag under pressure? No, he's not, in my opinion. He's not under pressure. And he shouldn't be under pressure either. The circumstances that have conspired against him this season aren't really his doing at all. And I don't think he should take the blame for those. But undoubtedly, people like Sky Sports and TalkSport will 1000% put the blame on Ten Hag, or at least put pressure on Ten Hag over this entire situation. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And then the one thing that does scare me in all of this is not that Ten Hag will walk away, because I don't necessarily think he will walk away. But if the Glazers decide to stay, if the Glazers are seeing how toxic it gets with them staying, they've got all of these fucking absolute shit. So we've got more statements about right wingers than we've got right wingers. What the fuck? I haven't seen this many fucking statements about right wingers since Brexit. The thing I worry about is if the Glazers see the toxicity around the club, which they've caused, and they are a massive factor in. If they see the toxicity around the club, they see all of this shit going on around the pitch, they might flip the switch on a new manager because it's a fresh start and then everyone talks about something else, don't they? Rather than the fucking absolute clown show that the Glazers have created. Wesley says, guy makes 350k. What were you thinking giving him that as a 21-year-old who hasn't kicked a ball for the club? They were thinking this guy has just, in like 100 or so games for Dortmund, done an absolute madness. That's what they were thinking. And I get it. And I kind of agree with it in a way. I mean, not necessarily I don't necessarily think about it in terms of like, give him that sort of money. But like, when you look at what people who are putting them sort of numbers in were getting, it doesn't necessarily, it's a lot of money, but when you think that we'd just done what we'd done with Sanchez and all that, like, you know what I mean? It made a little bit of sense at least. Dave P says we need an official statement about the number of statements. Tiru says it's protesting time, people. Yeah. Shubham says every player I get excited for when we sign just goes in a complete different trajectory. Sanchez, Sancho. Start complaining for every signing now. Yeah, maybe that's the one. KC says maybe Marshall can pick up Sancho on the way. Even Sanchez lives in Blackpool. He'd make it to Carrington in time. Life O'Reilly says as soon as we posted that tweet, or whatever it was game over for Jadon. I think that's the thing, yeah, is like, I really don't know. I really don't know where it was going to go for Sancho from there, unless he just goes, listen, I fucked it here. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless he makes an apology, it was only going to really go one way, and that's really sad to see. Alpha Gaming says, what about Sancho's mum? Has she made a statement yet? Maguire's mum's going to make one for him, I think. Ansham says, is Sancho another sign of our bad recruitment? No, I don't think it is, to be honest. I think Jadon Sancho was an outstanding talent in world football at the time that we signed him. And I think everyone was absolutely right to be excited about him. This is a young lad that grew up in Manchester. He's not from around here, but he grew up in Manchester. He knew the city. He'd had a fucking phenomenal showing for multiple seasons at Dortmund. It was the right signing, but it hasn't worked out. Do you know what I mean? Levi says, what do I make of the news of a Premier League manager having gambling covered up? Ooh, that's interesting. I wonder who that is. Andrew, what do I think about the statement from Harry Maguire's mother? Well, me and Ash spoke about that for about 20 minutes, so I won't kill tomorrow's podcast by giving you that now. I'll just say tune in for that tomorrow and have a look at that one. Teggy says, it's not sad. These modern players are weak, soft boys, no men in the game anymore. Daniel says, attitude problems were bad at Dortmund. Any actual club would have found out and swerved. But the performances were good. Maybe they could have delved into some of the off-field stuff a little bit, but the performances were there. So I think, that's the answer, isn't it? Carnivore says, if you think this will be the last drama around Ten Hag, you are totally mistaken. Do you think it's down to Ten Hag, though? Is it Ten Hag that was making Sancho late when he was at Dortmund and continued to be late here? Is it Ten Hag that, maybe Ten Hag could have known about what was going on with Anthony, but it was things that happened before he was at Manchester United. Did Ten Hag know what was going to happen with Mason Greenwood? Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of things here that you can't necessarily pin on Ten Hag, and that's the problem, is people are going to pin things on Ten Hag that are fuck all to do with him. Total Football with a super chat there says, bet Ten Hag hates all this drama. He just wants to coach. I imagine that was it. Zoteng says, let's be honest, we ruin players. Depay, Di Maria, Lukaku, Pogba, Sancho. I think it's us that are failing the players. United are a shambles. Certainly seems to be that way at the moment. Michelle Leon there with a super chat says, Jadon will fight for the badge as soon as he gets out of bed. Good point. Simon with a super chat says, if we lose, who gets the blame? Ten Hag for being stubborn, or Sancho for free speech, or the club for not having grapefruit, especially when both Ten Hag and Sancho are to blame. Interesting to see, what do you think he's saying that Ten Hag is to the blame for making it public? Because I think you have to look at the things that's happened previously with this. Like, there'd been issues. He sent him to Holland to try and get sorted. He didn't get sorted. He come back from Holland. Those things were clearly persisting still. Maybe Ten Hag was like, well, I've tried the arm around the shoulder. I've tried taking him out of the public line. I've tried keeping it secret. I've tried all of these things. I'm going to put one on him publicly and see if that sparks him up. You know what I mean? MUFC Realist says, Baby Sancho, problem is money, 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 and social media. Imagine them playing ball, puzzling dolls. Edward with a super chat says, I think that Sancho joined the club. There were too many bad eggs at the club that could have influenced him, or is it just he isn't a good fit? Could be a bit of both, mate. Aslam with a super chat says, has Sancho failed or United recruitment? I think Sancho. I think it's Sancho, mate. Not sure what the purpose of the Anthony signing was. The investment was Sancho with recruitment. Maybe that's the thing, is there's not been enough continuity or strength from or an actual director of football. Because you're right. At another club, a signing like a Sancho's going to be given an opportunity to take that spot. And they might not have invested the 70, 80, 90, whatever the fuck it was for Anthony on top of what you've already got for one player, because it's going to diminish the results in one area. Maybe you say, actually, can we spend that 80 million on a new defender or a new central midfielder and or striker that we didn't fucking have? And maybe you try and work with what you've got a little bit into some other stuff. So I'm not sure. I think that a strong director of football with a purpose that can work alongside the manager, where they can together identify targets and bring them to the club with a vision, is probably going to be better than just the nothing that's going on at the moment. Like, why have United wasted so much money? Because there hasn't been a clear fucking vision. You had David Moyes' vision, you had Ed Woodward's vision, you had Louis van Gaal's vision, you had Jose's vision / Louis van Gaal and Matt Judge's vision. Like, who the fuck is actually in charge of this sort of shit? RJ says there has to be a reason why Pep didn't keep a talent like like Sancho. Why? Let's not pretend Pep is this fucking god at bringing through academy players. Brought through Foden in an academy that's had a fucking metric fuck ton spent on it, and they're selling players left, right, and centre in their academy. Yes, Foden's a star, but would he have been a star coming through anywhere else? You could argue the case that he is, to be honest, or would have been. You know, look how long Pep has been there. Where's his youngsters coming through? You know, and I'm not talking about people getting 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there. You know, he wasn't prepared to give Sancho minutes. And Sancho kicked off, said, I think I'm good enough for minutes, and then dipped to Dortmund. And he was right to, because he was good enough for minutes. He proved that. Now, let's not confuse outcomes with intent. Alex said Ferguson could walk into this team and win everything. I really like Ferguson. I really do. I really, really do. And I wonder how much he's going to cost United if we really do want to bring him in. John says selling players from your academy is smart football / wish our club had the brains to do so. Well, it's selling them for good money is. I don't know if we actually do that or not. I suspect we actually don't. Mighty Man says, maybe Pep should be the next United manager. Well, there's more fucking chance of me being the next United manager than there is Pep, isn't there? Let's be real. Ronald says, some players who try to perform on social media rather on the pitch just have lost it. Matt Wick says, situation with our club is annoying. Enough about bringing Pep and Gareth's judgment into this. Disco says, players have to be responsible for their own performances. 1,000,000%. Wrigley says Rashford and Garnacho got publicly called out, responded with statements on the pitch. Take heed, Sancho. I think there you go. Ivo says Sancho doesn't say a lot, and for him to speak out on social media says Erik Ten Hag is a liar. You don't react that way or that fast if you think the coach is right. It's a bit of a leap to, mate. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here with this. Notch says, first thing Ten Hag had to deal with was players moaning about training in the dark. Just how entitled did that place become? Yeah, I can feel the frustration about it, in all honesty. Do I see his future at United? I mean, I already answered this with Jay downstairs before, and that was before I saw this statement, and I said no then. Now I definitely don't think so. I would, if I was a gambling man, I would be saying I would expect Sancho to be gone immediately. Like, as soon as that window opens, I think he'll be gone. So that's my thoughts on that one. I mean, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments, but I'm going to wrap it up because it's just a short statement, not need to kick the ass out of it, is there? I'm sure we'll be talking about it again. But cheers for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you are new around here. We will have our preview coming out tomorrow for the game against Brighton. If you want to know how we're going to try and win that game, I'll catch you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.